everyone, just want to remind you that before you begin cooking in a brick oven, if they're not used for a month or longer, they're going to get moisture in them, in these bricks, just from being outdoors. And it's important to build a small fire, maybe 200, 400 degrees, let it burn for a couple hours to get some of that excessive moisture out of the bricks. Or you could possibly have a brick crack, something like that. So it's always important just to remember to do that. So the tools I am using to start the fire here today is, of course, always your trusty pair of gloves. I use a digital thermometer. This is something I think as you get better at cooking things in a brick oven, you might not need it all the time, but it sure is nice to be able to look at the temperatures in any part of that surface of the brick oven, just to understand what temperatures you're cooking with and where you put your food. I use a poker stick sometimes. If I am really pushing a piece of wood around and I have something in there for any long period of time, I want something metal instead of a brush. Which this brush is really nice. It has brass bristles on it, also has a scraper. This is really helpful to keep the oven clean, everything pushed together. And then this, you would think you'd only use it for pizza, this little pizza paddle. This thing is so handy for putting pieces of wood or that compressed block in one at a time without getting your hands too close to it. So those are my tools that I use to get my fire started. So these are the materials that I'm going to use to get our fire started, get our brick oven going. First of all, it's very important to have a good pair of gloves because the fire is going to be very hot. So I use a pair of welder's gloves. Then you need hardwood. Hardwood burns really hot. It's very efficient heat. I use a lot of oak. It's very common in this area. You can use cherry maple, whatever you have that's convenient to use in your area that you live in. You want your pieces to be 2-3 inches thick that you're using for starting the fire. And then also I use a product, it's a compressed wood block. They make it basically out of sawdust. And this is nice because it burns nice and hot, doesn't have a lot of smoke with it. Then you need some kindling. I use pieces that are about this thick. They catch fire pretty quickly, nice and dry. And then a fire starter that I use. Either you can use paper and roll it up like this. I like to make it nice and tight when I'm using it. Or you can use a fire starter like this. This is non-toxic and it works really well. You only need a little piece to start a fire, just to show you how that works. And then of course a lighter. I like to use one that has a long neck on it, just less chance I'm going to catch myself on fire using this, easier to get it started. There's different types, ways, techniques you can build a fire. Yeah, I've tried lots of different kinds. The kind I prefer is what is called a lodge technique. And so you take several pieces of wood, like so, and you make a floor or a bottom to this. It's called a raft sometimes. And then I build sides of the raft, like so. And then I'm going to use my fire starter to show you how that works with the fire today instead of using paper, but paper is fine. And I'm just going to put a little piece right in here, somewhere toward the front. This is where I'm going to light it from. Then I use the kindling to make a lattice over the top. I leave a little space in between for some air movement. On top of that now, I'm going to put a couple more pieces. And then, since I have some compressed block, I'm just going to put that also on the top. Last piece, usually I'll put a piece here on the front because when I put this into the oven, I'm going to use this piece then once I get it started to push it a little bit toward the back. And now what I build here for you, I'm going to rebuild it in the brick oven and get it started.